All right, Mr. Ahmed here for stem and leaf plots. A stem and leaf plot is a way to organize data from least to greatest. The digits of the least place value usually form the leaves, and the next place value digits form the stem. All stem and leaf plots need to have a key, so we have to have a key to know exactly what's going on. It's a great way to organize numerical data, and mainly from a numerical type question. So we're going to make a stem and leaf plot here as shown, and I actually kind of have this thing chopping off a little bit of the question, so I move Blackwell's back over as shown in. So it says the number of minutes the students in Mr. Blackwell's class spent doing homework one night is shown in the table below. Display the data in a stem and leaf plot. So I need to start with the least value, and the least value is 0, 0. And my stem is indicating the 0, and if I make a key for this, so I can see exactly what I'm reading, our key would state that 7-5 would equal, the stem is 7, that would equal 75. So 7, 5, our second digit. Okay, so 7, 5 would be 75, so this is 0, 0. Our next biggest value is 5, so I'd have the number 0, 5, because that's going to be in the ones digit. And I'm going to cross these off as I go to make sure I get them all. Now I'm in the tens. Are there any in the tens? I do not see any. On to the 20s. In the 20s, I first see that we have a 23 and a 24. So those are the values 23 and 24 as indicated. Now we're on to the 30s. And looks like we have a 30, so I need a 3, 0. And next biggest one, do we have another 30? We do indeed. Excuse me. And then we're on to our next biggest value. So we have our two 30s. Our next biggest one appears to be 35, which was right where? There it is. 35. The next biggest one is 39. So I got all my 30s taken care of. Now I'm on to my 40s. And for my 40s, I have a 42. And then I also have a 45. Another 45. Next biggest one appears to be 47. And then 49. All right, now we're on to our 50s. Do we have a 50? Nope, we do have a 51 though. And our next biggest one, hold on, did I cross off both my 45s? I think I forgot to cross one off, or did I miss one? I missed 145, so I made an error here. And that's one of the tricky things about these being formed in the table is I actually missed a 45, so I'm actually gonna have to fix this because it needs to go in numerical order. And I was using a pen, so I'm gonna take out some white out here to add one more 45. I noticed I missed one. So I'm gonna erase this 7 and the 9, and I will have to come back and fix that. Okay, so we had a 5, we also have a 5, a 7, and a 9. I need to wait for my white out to dry, so we'll come back to that one. So we have a 51 done, then we had a 55, and a 56. Next biggest one would be 58. And I don't see any others. And 60s, I don't see any. 70s. It appears as if we have a 75 and a 75. All right, so I had a 5 here. I just don't think that's quite dry. This is a 7. And another 5. Okay. Got them all fixed. I'm going to count to make sure I got them all. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 total values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I got them all. Okay, so it says to describe the shape of the stem and leaf. And the shape of it appears to be pretty symmetric. Everything's pretty well spread out. We do have quite a few 4s, quite a few 5s, but it's not very many more than any of the others. So I'm saying it's symmetric. We do kind of have a few more down at the end and a few more up at the larger numbers as well. To find the median, I need to figure out the middle number. So since it's already in numerical order, I can cross off 1, 2, And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it appears as if I'm between the 5 and the 5 for the median. So my median value is right here between the 5 and the 5. I'm going to write that in, median. So the median is 45. You could have also rewrote them out in order to find the median, but using that was a little bit helpful. All right, on to our next example. The stem and leaf plot shows the number of points scored by a college basketball player. The key says 1, 2, so this would be number 2 points, 12, 12, 13, etc. Describe the shape of the data. For me, the shape of the data, again, down here, not too many. Up here, not too many. The middle has quite a few more. So when I choose the way in which that I'm going to organize the data, I have some options here. And I just wanted to pull out our reminder sheet to decide how we're determining what we want to choose. And I mean, I think at this point, I'm going to call it pretty symmetric.
Hello.
And we want to then decide if there's any outliers. And if there's any outliers, the outlier that I see is the 2. The 2 is really not very close to anything else. We have a 12, a 12, a 13, a 15, an 18, then all the way up to like 31. So in this case, the 2 is really far away from everything else, so I'm going to call that an outlier. And my reasoning why is most of the values are between 10 and 32. So that's kind of the main reason why I'm choosing 2 as an outlier, is it's not very close to anything else. And the next one just says, which measures of central tendency is most affected by the outlier? And I'm going to say the mean is definitely the most affected, because that 2 is going to change the average based off of everything else once we add it in. And on to our next page. And in this diagram, we're going to be looking at some back-to-back stem and leaf plots. And these are used to compare 2 data sets. And both sets of the data will have the same stem. And when I look at the key, this one's going to be a little bit trickier because the key is going to go both directions. So in the diagram for the 23 on the left side, the 2 is on the right, and I have to go right to left to get 23 going to the left for room 102. As to for room 104, it's a little bit more normalized with our stem and leaf to the 2, 5 would be 25. So in this, we are going to describe the shape of the data for room 102. So if I look at room 102, when I organize the data, when I look at the zeros, I'm going to kind of actually draw this out in a dot plot. I have the number 0, 2. So for my zeros, I have quite a few. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For my ones, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. For the 2s, I have 3. For the 3s, we got 3. And for the 4s, we have 1. So when I look at this, I see that there's fewer on the right, so I'm going to say that it's skewed to the right. And for the room 104, if we were to redraw the same thing, I would also notice more of them are in the zeros, the 1s and the 2s. There's very few up towards the right, so this one's also skewed to the right. The next one says, which room sold more magazines? So for us to determine who sold more magazines, I would have to count all these up and determine which one sold more. And just kind of by looking at this, 9, 8, 7, 7, 5, 6, I have a 40. This one has a 50, but just this many more, it's obviously room 102. And are there any outliers? Yes, I would say the one outlier is the 51. Nobody else sold close to 51. And that's it for today for the stem and leaves. Have a good one.